Okay, let's talk about fiscal policy, the chapter on fiscal policy. Now, we have an aggregate demand curve. We have a short-run aggregate supply curve that gives us the equilibrium. Initially, let's also assume this is the potential, which means the long-run aggregate supply curve will be right here. And the long-run aggregate supply curve is always vertical. Therefore, the equilibrium is equal to the potential. What is fiscal policy? Fiscal policy is government spending, taxes, or transfer payments. Most of the time, the questions will be government spending and taxes. Fiscal policy will affect aggregate demand. Let's assume government spending increases. If government spending increases, you will be here in the short run. Output will be higher and price level will be higher. In this model, if you are above the potential, you have what's called an inflationary gap. An inflationary gap in the long run will cause costs to go up. And therefore, your short-run aggregate supply curve will fall. Until you are here. So, expansionary fiscal policy where the government increases spending will shift the aggregate demand curve. You're temporarily in the short run above with an inflationary gap, above the potential, but the inflationary gap will result in costs rising and the supply curve falling until the economy self-corrects back to the potential. Now, the economy can self-correct back to the potential, or what we can do is we can institute stabilization policies. Let's take a look at an example. What if we start off by being not equal to the potential? Namely, the potential is here, but aggregate demand and the short-run aggregate supply curve and equilibrium is here. Well, just like the previous question, you saw that we have an inflationary gap. And inflationary gap is going to result in costs rising. And that's going to cause the short-run aggregate supply curve to fall to here. But stabilization policies can be implemented. What we can do is the government can elect to do something to get us back to full employment. So, stabilization policies are government actions to restore the economy back to full employment. So in this question, what could have been done is the government can reduce spending, shift the aggregate demand curve back. That's another way to get back to the potential. A stabilization policy where the government reduces spending or increases taxes could have resulted in getting us back to the potential by shifting the aggregate demand curve back.